What's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. Subscriber die trying. You see the thumbnail. Factors behind teenage addiction. So having a conversation and come to a consensus that, when we were kids and when we see kids now, they're less active. And because they're less active, you see more teenage addiction. And going back to when I was a teenager, the teenagers who had the most issues with addiction were normally the kids who grew up in that household and it was a norm. Or the kids who, how can I say this properly? Parents were just very inadequate. And the kids who just had nothing to do. So when I look out into society, I see a lot of kids with nothing to do. So they just, let me just get into some trouble. Let me just pass the time away and let me just get faded, And you had the kids smoking cigarettes, and you had the kids who would steal their parents' liquor, the consummate putting water in the vodka, or the rum or the gin, watering down the bottle. Always getting caught because people know what watered down alcohol tastes like. But then it spawned to something else. Because if you don't have anything to do, you would assume, you don't have any activities, any extracurricular activities. You would assume you would become more social. But with the invention of social media, what you see is people who are less social now. So I hate to say this, but the social gatherings like parties are where people get together, and because they're parties, people want to be more like adults, or they want to feel like they're grown, so they want to do grown stuff like, like indulge in vices and have sex. So you wind up with this situation where you're seeing kids addicted to more and more drugs. And you see parents who are less and less stringent or strict or stern about, what you can and cannot do in the house. You got parents who grew up around drug environments and knows what a drug addict looks like. But when it's their kid, they just, not my baby. Yeah, your baby. And you know it's your baby. You got kids who constantly get themselves into situations, who are constantly stressed out. And you're trying to figure out what's wrong with them. And part of what's wrong with them is they are little troublemakers, and they wind up being a drug addict, having a drug addiction to quote unquote calm their nerves. And then we have to talk about the population who medicated their kids when they were younger. So now your kid doesn't know anything but medicating themselves, or trying to self-medicate themselves, or self-diagnose themselves. And I don't want to take those pills. I would rather smoke a cigarette or smoke marijuana. So you keep adding to the mix of kids who have addictions. And then you have the rise of people going from lower class to middle class. And the middle class environment is an environment that allows more freedom of self-expression. And now you get people who are overly self-expressive and what goes with that is drug use. It's not, all these, what I'm saying is not an all across the board thing, but now you can afford to have the spare time to not get in trouble for drug use. When you're in poor environments, or you're in predominantly black environments, you're going to get busted, you know, even if you're not doing drugs for drugs. You're going to get, somebody is going to suspect you to be a drug user or a drug seller because of where you're at. But when you're in the suburbs, it's not like that. So now you have the opportunity to do it. And you can see it even in the policing, even in the neighborhood suspicion. Like you see it in the inherent, in the bias where the kids may be using drugs. You change the color of the kid, they might be just as flagrant, but you only see the black kid. So it makes sometimes non-black kids, they can go further down the rabbit hole because they can get away with it for a longer period of time. And then you have, people scared of being adults, and adult life is about to hit them because they're about to go to college, or they got to become grown, and they're self-sabotaging themselves purposely through drugs to buy themselves time to still be a child. So that's my thoughts on this one. Like, share, subscribe, or die trying. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.